In your travels, you've heard tales of soldiers releasing the animal within to defeat a dozen foes, gladiators tapping into their bestial nature to take down an enemy while they themselves are bloodied. You know those are all cute stories, but your inner animal has a bite far worse than its bark. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Geek Pantheon. I am Eric, and today we are talking about the path of the Beast Barbarian. You all voted in a poll that I put up here on YouTube. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, that's a great way to have some input. I've been putting up polls to get your all's input on what the next videos should be. So be sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss the next poll to decide which book I pull the subclass from, which was what this poll was. You all wanted another Tasha's Cauldron of Everything subclass. So we're going to do the Path of the Beast Barbarian, which also perfectly coincides with our Kyber Shards Answers series, our actual play here on the channel. We had our Dungeon Master Philip and Colin, who plays Pog, our party's barbarian, discussing which subclass he's considering taking. So link there to go check out that video. So with a quick overview of the Barbarian subclass before we get into a breakdown of the class features level by level, I just wanted to talk about the fact that this Barbarian subclass brings a lot of versatility to the Barbarian class that I really, really like. I think it's really interesting how the natural weapons that you can produce as part of the subclass each serve a very different function in the different kind of realms of healing, damage, or defense, and how those, like, depending on the scenario, when you rage, you can take on a different natural weapon to fill in that gap that maybe you need in the encounter, but to also reflect the kind of chaotic nature of barbarians. When you rage, they're not guaranteed. You're not getting a static plus X amount to your AC. You're rolling and adding that number to your AC. So I like that it kind of balances this versatility and being able to do what you need when you need to do it. But it's not a guaranteed thing. You're not guaranteed a really good AC bonus for the entirety of your rage. It varies from time to time. And then as you continue to level, you gain some non-combat versatility as well. And then finally capping out with the ability to give boosts to your allies, to actually buff in a certain way. And so that's a really cool progression for a barbarian subclass of having great singular versatility in combat, which is typically where the barbarian likes to live, going into non-combat scenarios and gaining a good amount of versatility. And then finally, having a bit of leadership tossed in there, being able to boost your allies through your class abilities. So yeah, I really like this subclass. I think it's really interesting, and it definitely was a surprising one. The deeper that you get into it, the more surprising I think it is. When you see Path of the Beast on paper, just when you're reading the title of the subclass, on paper, when you're just reading the title of the subclass, I think you go in with some preconceived notions of what it's going to look like. And this subclass really kind of sidestep those expectations into something really interesting. Okay, so let's get into the class features. The first one that you get at third level is Form of the Beast. When you rage, your body transforms, producing a natural weapon. You get to pick from one of three options every time that you rage. So you're not locked into like picking when you take this subclass and that's the path that you're on. No, you get that versatility, like I was mentioning, of picking each time that you rage. So the first natural weapon you get is Bite, which is 1d8 piercing damage is the damage that you can do. It counts as a simple melee weapon. Your natural weapons do. But when you successfully land an attack with the Bite natural weapon, you regain hit points equal to your proficiency bonus if you're less than half your hit point max, basically. So if you've lost more than half your hit points, you successfully bite, you can regain some hit points. Not a lot, but you know, over time, if you're raging and doing this attack over and over and over, you can start to build up your hit points a little bit at that point. So yeah, this is a good, like, oh crap, I need to rage right now because I'm getting very low on hit points and maybe the healer's down or they're busy dealing with somebody else. Gonna do this and start chomping on people. The next one is Claws, which deal 1d6 slashing damage. And once per turn, when you successfully land an attack as part of the attack action with your Claws natural weapon, you get to make one additional claw attack as part of the same action. So it doesn't count on an opportunity attack or anything like that. But when you take the attack action, landed a hit once per turn, you can do it again. So yeah, the kind of bumping up the damage a little bit, but offset by the fact that this one's only 1d6 base damage as opposed to the other two that are 1d8. And then lastly is the tail as your natural weapon. It's described as having these spines coming out of it, kind of a dinosaur reptilian style tail. It deals 1d8 piercing damage as well. And when a creature within 10 feet of you that you can see successfully hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to basically bring your tail up, and you roll a d8 and you add that number to your AC, potentially then causing the attack to miss. So it's an interrupt of their attack. Before they deal damage or anything like that, the DM says, or tells you the number, you say, yes, that hits, but I'm going to use my reaction, roll a d8, and there you go. And I like this because you're informed on if they've hit you by more than 10 of your AC, you know, well, there's no point in doing that using my reaction. I'll save that for an opportunity attack potentially. But if it's 2, 3, even 6, you never know. You might get lucky. So I really do like this this power, this ability. I like this class feature as a whole. Like I said, the versatility is the thing I really enjoy, and how it's done in such a way that it scales in the form of the healing, like your proficiency bonus continues to go up. But additionally, you get to be informed when you're making the decision of whether or not to use your reaction to add to your AC. So I think this is a really well thought out class feature. And then at 6th level, you gain the Bestial Soul class feature. So this one is when you finish a long or short rest, you can adapt your form in some capacity. And you have a few different options on what that looks like, but you do get to pick every time you finish a short or long rest. So once again, speaking to the versatility of this subclass, you can make it very situational. If you know that you're going to be dealing with a lot of aquatic adventures or aquatic traps or enemies, you can take one of these options that really benefit you. If you know that you're going to be going over chasms and stuff like that, you can take another one. So I really do like the fact that, once again, the subclass doesn't lock you into a choice, and it doesn't make it difficult to swap it out. So I really do like that. So the first one is you gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed, and you can breathe underwater. So that's your first option. Second option is you gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, and you can climb difficult surfaces, including like ceilings, without the need to make an ability check. And then the last one is you can, on your turn, when you jump, you can make an athletics check, strength-based athletics check, and you add the number of the check. You add that many feet onto your jump, and you can do that once per turn, which you could really clear some distance if you roll well and you have a high athletic score. So yeah, I think all three of these serve very different functions, and I think that all of them would prove to be very useful in different situations. Now, obviously, if you're doing more like urban campaigns, city-based style adventuring, the underwater stuff probably isn't going to be super useful, but the other ones will. Navigating buildings, navigating cities, being able to climb up the side of a building or jump from roof to roof be super helpful. If it's more wilderness based, then all three of these could be really good. Once again, dungeons, sometimes you have underwater, like underground, water-based stuff going on. So yeah, I think all three of these can serve a good function in most, if not all, campaign types out there. And before we move on, if you are enjoying the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It does help out a whole heck of a lot. And let me know what subclass you want me to do next. I do pay attention to those, and I do let those inform the decision on which subclass I'm going to do next. Also, if you want to talk to me about this in real time, you can head on over to twitch.tv/thegeekpantheon. I do stream every Sunday and Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central and Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. We do a whole lot of talking about D&D. We play some games occasionally, and it's a good time, and I would love to have you. And then at 10th level, you gain Infectious Fury. So while you're raging, when you hit a creature with your natural weapon, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, which is the DC is based off your proficiency bonus plus your con modifier plus 8. And then if they fail, you get to pick one of two things that they have to do. Either they have to use their reaction to make a melee attack on a creature of your choice that you can see, or they take 2d12 psychic damage. So, one of my favorite things about this one, when I read this, I was like, yes, thank you, well done. Because I've played it so many tables where a situation has come up to where you have an ability that allows you to force the target to make a melee attack on a creature of your choice, but there's nobody nearby. There's nobody that they can attack. There's nobody that you want them to attack. And it's just like, okay, well, I guess that aspect of my ability I'm just not going to use then. And it's always kind of a bummer. I love that they gave you a choice. You can do this thing or have them take psychic damage. So if there's nobody nearby or nobody you want them to attack, you can just be like, you know what? Just take the damage and move on. So I really, really like the design decision here to have it be a choice. I love this subclass because pretty much every class feature except for the last one, you have choices on what happens. You get to pick your natural weapon. You get to pick how your form alters. You get to pick what happens with the infectious fury. And I love that. I love that very few things in this subclass are set in stone. You get a lot of control over what this subclass looks like, and I really like that. So at 14th level, you gain Call of the Hunt. So the way this one works is when you rage, you get to pick a number of creatures equal to your Constitution modifier within 30 feet of you that you can see, and also be willing. And if they accept this buff that you're giving out, you gain 5 temporary hit points per creature that accepted the Call of the Hunt. And in return, once per turn, on their turn, when they successfully land an attack, they can deal an additional d6 of damage. And you can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So it's not every time that you rage, but you get to choose to do this. And so I think this is a cool kind of leadership-esque type ability that gives you, as one of the frontline fighters, a lot more a lot more hit points in the form of the temporary hit points that you get while helping all of your allies deal more damage. And so I think this fits really well because it plays into that pack mentality is the way I'm choosing to think of it. Of you're giving into your bestial nature when you rage and all these other class features, and now you are, through your bestial nature, bringing all these other creatures that you can see into your pack, and they're hunting with you, and you are hunting as one. And I think that's really cool. I think that fits from a flavor standpoint, and I think there's a lot of interesting things you can do in terms of what's fueling this subclass and how your various party members will respond to this class feature. And that's all the class features for this subclass. So let's talk about playing the subclass itself. So, as is kind of outlined in Tasha's through the form of a random table, there's lots of different origins that you can have for the Path of the Beast subclass. Whether it's lycanthropy or arch druid magic or fey abilities or whatever. The through line of all these different origins, at least to my eye, is they all come with baggage of some kind. These origins remind me a lot of warlock patrons, in that part of the balancing of the warlock class is the narrative implications of your power source. And I think that can also be true here, that the Path of the Beast's abilities are tempered somewhat by the narrative implications of their power source. But at the end of the day, you are a adventurer who can alter your form into a more bestial visage. And that's going to raise some eyebrows in most settings, at least, whether it's concerned that you're a werewolf, the druidic circle is perturbed that you're apparently using their magic, or the archfey whose minion gifted you these abilities is PO'd that you're not working for them and you're just going about doing whatever you want. So a big thing when you're creating this subclass, it just screams for an interesting backstory. Like, that's the big thing to me, is coming up with a compelling reason why you have these abilities, why they're growing within you, and the implications that that has in your relationship with the rest of the world and what that looks like. Even if you just go with kind of the bog standard Hulk option where you rage and your body transforms, that's still not normal for a barbarian, like as evidenced by the other subclasses existing. So yeah, there should be something interesting going on. Why do you do that? Why can you do that? What happened? And so coming up with an interesting and compelling reason why all this stuff happens to you, I think is a must do for playing this subclass. And let's discuss quickly parties that this subclass can work well in. And I kind of alluded to it just now, but if you are doing an X-Men or Avengers style game, then this can be your Hulk or your Beast as part of the team. Whether you're wanting to play the normally quiet and smart Hank McCoy who unleashes his inner animal to tear through foes, or you want to play the quiet and smart Bruce Banner who gives into his inner beast to smash through foes. They're different. You can do that. You can play that, and this subclass is built to be that kind of character. And I think it would be a lot of fun to play Beast. Being an X-Men fan myself, playing Beast in this style of going into a rage and giving into his inner beast and tearing through people would be a lot of fun. And then DMing for the subclass. So as I said before, this subclass has the potential to come with a lot of baggage. Now it will vary from setting to setting. In your homebrew setting, there might be nothing about being able to change your shape into a more bestial form that would come with any kind of baggage. But I think a lot of them could have that interesting hook into the subclass. I know for me, being an Eberron fan, if a commoner saw a barbarian use their infectious fury ability where they're raging and they bite them, and then all of a sudden their victim starts like going into a fury and attacking their allies, they're going to go form a mob quicker than you can say silver bullet. So yeah, that using these abilities out in the open could potentially cause a lot of complications for the party. And I think that's an interesting way to take it, because in most settings lycanthropy isn't a celebrated thing. But a much more important point, you never want to make this subclass unfun to play. You never want to have have it hit a point where it's like I'm not going to rage because I'm just it's going to ruin the adventure. It's going to cause all this other stuff to happen. So do that kind of thing sparingly. Don't have it be a common thing where every time they rage it's like, "Oh my god, a werewolf, kill it." Um so yeah, the other thing is introduce lots of environmental hazards that the bestial soul abilities can assist in overcoming, whether it's large chasms that need to be jumped or needing to swim underwater for a long duration of time. And you can introduce these environmental hazards in a way to where you're not hamstringing the rest of the party, because let's say there's a drawbridge on the other side of this chasm. Well, you only need one person to be able to jump over it and then pull the lever and bring the bridge down. If there's a portcullis that's dropped and into water, and it's on the mechanisms on the other side, and you need somebody to swim way down and go under the portcullis and come back up on the other side, you just need one person to be able to do that to raise the portcullis. So that's what I'm getting at when I'm talking about these environmental hazards, is you can do them in a way to where it celebrates the ability of the subclass without hamstringing the rest of the party who doesn't have those abilities. And of course, on occasion, once again, you don't want to make this unfun, but in that same vein, on occasion, presenting an unexpected environmental hazard that they would go, if only I would have picked the jumping one. That would be perfect right now. But no, we got to construct a bridge now, or we got to do some checks. But if I would have taken the jumping one, it would have been great. Or if I could breathe underwater, it would be perfect right now. But they've already taken one short rest, and you're not really in a good spot to where you could take a long rest. So got to figure out a different way to do it. So add that tension to their choices. Not a lot. Once again, don't always pick on them and be like, well, you picked the wrong thing. But on occasion, sparingly. So what did you all think? Did you enjoy the Path of the Beast subclass? I personally really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And let me know what subclass you want me to do next. If you all could subscribe to the channel, that would help out so much. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.